like many Clemente children, I've run away from home. So this nostalgia is running away from home, in addition. I'll sum up as much as I can. One time in 6th grade, I came home with a little, like, fake profile they had us fill out in school, like, for social studies class. Maybe it was, like, Native American studies, because it was, like, create your own Indian name and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And mine was, something about, like, he who has mood swings or something. In 6th grade, I like to think that I was really mentally unstable and unpredictable and wild.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I brought that back home, I got scolded because it, somehow was reflective of their poor parenting, or, like, that ruined the image of the perfect Clemente children in the school system. She was just really mad at me for using that phrase, mood swings, and, like, taunting me for not even knowing what it is. So I walked out of the house after school. So by the time the fight had finished, it was like 4 p.m., and just walked around the neighborhood until I was walking and Dad saw me. Was driving down, saw me. I think he stopped to ask what I was doing or something, like walking that far away from home, and I can't remember if I just walked back or got in the Hyundai hatchback with him and rode home, which, I mean, I was not far. I was just basically walking around in circles, blowing off steam, but somehow it was interpreted as trying to run away, at least in my mind. But, it happened much more seriously many, many, many years later. In my late teens, I think senior year of high school. Yeah, it had to have been very late high school when I was learning to play guitar. I was recording albums for Lindsay Quinn, my sweetheart in Florida, who I met on AOL. And did not taunt to the point where I got reported. I had to do a song, and I think my guitar wasn't working right, or broke a string on it or something. So I grabbed my dad's guitar. I think it was his Squier white Stratocaster. And I went to record a song, broke a string on his guitar, panicked so much I called, I believe, Josh Urbanitz, and we went to a guitar store. He drove me over. I bought the string and restrung all before he got home, but he still noticed that same night, and, like, was confronting me right when I got home from work at, like, 10 p.m. And I just stared at him with such contempt and such indignance that night I stewed about it for hours and hours and hours, and I wrote a note that started as one phrase, which I believe the first phrase I wrote on my note was a quote from a Weezer quote, was, "Screw this crap, I've had it." But then there was, like, P.S., P.P.S., you know, like, you can keep the blah, 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 whatever I left behind. But I was saddled down probably like 2 or 3 a.m. With the Roland SH-09 synth, which I have to this day, a backpack, maybe my guitar, and spent all morning walking to the house of the Salmons in Regency Park. And I remember that was like a real runaway. Like, I was like, I'm never coming back. And they had called at all of my friends' houses, and I heard Mrs. Salmon's end of the conversation with Mom. Then I walked in and was staying there for about 4 hours or something, and they called Mom back and was like, oh yeah, he's at our house, but he'd like to stay the day or something like that. And she's like, no, I'm sending, my husband over to get him. And when Dad finally showed up at the Salmon's house, I put all my stuff back in the car, and not even like wanting to talk about anything, he said, I want that $3 back that we spent to file the missing persons report just now. So it was basically like walking back into an abusive relationship. Like, they went through this huge panic to find me, and I was like, okay, I'll go. That was the mistake I made that Paul did not make.
Yeah, I never went back from mine. Not that that's any better, but whatever.
And I thought, foolishly enough, I'd be able to survive on my abilities as a performer.